While 4 co-eds clean a haunted house, they find a strange ancient book and recklessly summon an evil beast who tries to bring souls to eternal damnation. On a thunderous night, Gideon Fisk holds a talking bedeviled book made from human skin, which advises the wanderer to use his conscience in times of trouble. Gideon drops it in fright but composes himself and picks it up. Defiant, the wanderer heads to a mansion's basement and mocks the haunted book as he gallantly hangs himself, ending his life. However, the talking book triumphantly laughs and vanishes into thin air as Gideon unknowingly favored its wishes. Decades later, the landlord, Bert, drops off 4 co-eds he hired for a weekend cleaning service at the unoccupied mansion in preparation for its new tenants. Roxanne complains about the cramped ride and their lousy pay, so her friend teasingly advises her to make money with her body. Jan makes fun of the landlord, who remains clueless at the youthful crew's bickering, but their nerdy friend, Megan, naively explains her friend's joke. Then, the representatives of Wheatley Cleaning Company sign the contract, while their acting leader, Terry, assures her friends that they are well equipped for their short stay. Moreover, Bert reminds them not to bring their boyfriends into the mansion to avoid some funny business. He then confirms the house has electricity, but the telephone isn't in service, so he advises them to use the neighbors when needed. Grumbling, the quartet gather their stuff and cleaning supplies to settle in the grand house. Inside, Terry reveals that the mansion has a haunted history, saying the former tenants suddenly abandoned the freakish house in the middle of the night. Nevertheless, she orders her companions to check out its facilities while Megan grabs the rest of their bags outside. Suddenly, the neighbor, Mr. Hinchlow, approaches Megan, startling the co-ed. She informs him about their short stay, which seems to please the elderly man. He then walks up to the house to introduce himself to the rest. In the kitchen, the three find the place well kept, delighted since they'll finish their tasks quickly. As they fill the fridge, Megan walks in with Mr. Hinchlow, so Terry introduces her team to the neighbor. The worried man reveals that he only came to familiarize himself with their faces, so he could identify their bodies for the cops when needed. Megan asks what he means, bewildered by his strange warning. The old neighbor reveals that there have been recent murders in the neighborhood, so he's only concerned for the women. After the strange neighbor leaves, Terry decides that they should start cleaning the basement while it's still sunny, so the others oblige. Shortly after, the cleaning ladies proceed to the basement, joking that it's where missing bodies are buried. Frightened by the dark, Jan, Roxanne, and Megan huddle close while Terry turns the light on. Despite their fears, the three women tease each other, thinking they'll discover something horrifying as they clean. Terry urges her friends to focus on tidying up, so the others get to work. Moments later, the leader finds an old trunk with a foreign note, so the cleaning ladies gather around the suspicious storage. Unaware that the tag is a warning, Terry opens it, revealing a foul smell. Inside, they find a skull and a dagger. Disturbed, the quartet decides to continue cleaning the basement tomorrow instead. Terry still takes some of the trunk's antiques with her, thinking they can exchange them for money. As a thunderstorm hits that night, Jan and Megan prepare their food and join the others in the living room. Meanwhile, Gideon's ghost appears outside and materializes the cursed book in his hands. In the house, Roxanne turns on the antique radio and dances provocatively to show her friends how she seduces men. Megan praises her friend's performance, so Roxanne teaches her the alluring technique. However, the geeky woman retreats to her room out of shyness. Suddenly, the doorbell rings, so they check who it is. The 3 co-eds find Gideon standing in the doorway with a package in hand. Confused, Terry tells the stranger that they don't live in the house, but Gideon puts the package in her hand before walking away. Afterward, Roxanne urges Terry to follow the note and open the package immediately, claiming it might be something perishable. Convinced, the leader unwraps the package and finds the cursed book with a monstrous face. However, the women are unable to read the foreign text on the pages, so Roxanne fetches their smart friend upstairs. Meanwhile, Megan marvels at her figure in front of the mirror, but her self-doubt gets the better of her. Then, Roxanne appears and assures her self-conscious friend that she has an appealing body. She then informs her about the strange foreign book they need help reading. Downstairs, Jan and Terry find explicit images in the book, thinking it's some sorcerer's indecent fantasies. As the two rejoin them, Megan flips to a page with a monster's image and reads the Latin incantation where they pledged their bodies to an unknown being. She then reads the footnote, warning them not to read the above text. This warning comes too late, but the quartet doesn't take the scriptures seriously. With that, Roxanne informs her friends that she's expecting some company at midnight, disobeying the landlord's rules. Afterward, Terry, Jan, and Megan head off to bed and leave their stubborn friend engrossed in the book. Upstairs, Megan becomes curious about Roxanne's plans as she's inexperienced with men. Jan and Terry assure her that she can also entice men before the trio prepares to sleep. Meanwhile, Roxanne struggles to open a bottle of wine, unaware that Gideon is observing the mansion from outside. As the clock strikes 12, the monstrous image in the book disappears and materializes into a cartoonish beast. In the kitchen, Roxanne stumbles around and quietly carries the tray of cups and wine to the living room, where the beast hides. Afterward, the co-ed wears her nightwear, unaware that the cartoonish beast ogles at her. As she starts drinking, Roxanne hears the beast and looks around in confusion. Suddenly, the libidinous monster tackles the woman on the ground and defiles her as she screams, waking her friends upstairs. However, the trio assume she's having a wild night with her boyfriend. When the noises stop, Megan thinks Roxanne is in trouble, but Terry and Jan believe the lovers just finished early. To ease her worries, the geeky woman calls for the couple on the stairs, while the beast drags Roxanne's corpse. Alarmed, the monster changes its appearance into Roxanne's and confronts Megan. Having forgotten to clean itself, the beast explains the blood on its mouth came from a cut. It then urges the innocent woman to go back to bed as it waits for Biff, Roxanne's boyfriend. Realizing that the man hasn't arrived, Megan hurriedly retreats to their room. Upstairs, she informs her friends about Roxanne's strange behavior, but Jan and Terry shrug it off, unconcerned. While the beast savors its freedom from the book, Roxanne's boyfriend, Biff, arrives. It leads the unassuming man to the living room and immediately gets on top of him. Suddenly, the beast bares its fangs and lashes at the horrified man as Gideon watches the monstrosity from outside. Awakened by Biff's screams, Megan decides that someone should check on the couple. Jan assumes that Megan only wants to witness the lovers in action and convinces her to disturb them herself. In the landlord's house, Bert hesitates to answer the late-night call but picks it up anyway. Mr. Hinchlow reports the screaming he heard and a man's car parked in front of the mansion, so Bert dismisses his wife's advances and leaves. Meanwhile, Megan uncovers a displaced tapestry downstairs and finds Biff's dead body. Hearing their friend's chilling scream, Jan and Terry arm themselves with a flashlight and quietly descend the stairs. The two find Megan in front of the corpse, and the geek realizes the tapestry is a soul shroud, which wraps the dead to offer its soul to Satan. Right after, the drunk landlord knocks on the house, demanding entry. With no choice, the trio drags Biff into the kitchen, afraid they'll get fired if Bert sees them. Outside, the beast meets the impatient landlord and leads him to the backyard. Meanwhile, the trio composes themselves before opening the front door, only to find that Bert has left. In the basement, the beast shows Bert the trunk where all the madness started. Then it seduces the man, and Bert gives in, thinking he'll get action with Roxanne. However, the beast attacks him, killing him instantly. In the living room, Megan notices that the beast's image is missing from the open book. On the next page, Jan sees the image of the dagger they found, so Megan reads the text. They learn that the earlier incantation released the beast's spirit into the living world, which intends to kill and collect souls. Unfortunately, Megan fails to read the instructions on how to kill the beast with the shroud and the dagger. However, Jan and Terry don't believe the scriptures and decide to find Roxanne, thinking that she killed her boyfriend. In the basement, the trio finds the lights on, but no one is around. Exhausted, Terry sits on a chair where the soul shroud falls and reveals Bert's corpse. The trio screams in terror and finds Roxanne's lifeless body in the trunk. Panicking, the three women rush outside when an invisible force pulls Megan's hair. Returning to the house, Terry calms her friends as she thinks that someone else is the killer, refusing the idea of the living beast. The assertive woman suggests arming themselves with a kitchen knife and calling the police at Mr. Hinchlow's house. In the kitchen, the trio finds that Biff's corpse is missing, along with everything in the drawers, thus leaving them defenseless. As they rush back to the living room, the women bump into their neighbor. Jan confirms Mr. Hinchlow's suspicions of the haunted house, so the elderly man leads the co-eds to the front door. He suggests that they dress up due to the bad weather, but Terry goes to retrieve the dagger instead. Megan shows Mr. Hinchlow the strange book, which the man confirms to be an ancient Kantarian warlock's demon spell guide brought by Gideon Fisk in the 1930s. Jan becomes suspicious about the elderly man's knowledge, and when they look back, Mr. Hinchlow has transformed into Roxanne. Unaware that this is the beast, the trio confronts their friend. They speculate that Roxanne and the men are playing a trick on them, which the beast admits. It then asks about the book, so Megan describes the missing drawings as horrendous and explains their discovery. Furious about their joke, Terry convinces her friend to take revenge, so they head to the basement where Roxanne claims is where the men are hiding. There, the trio beats Biff and Bert to get them to stop pretending, but they remain unresponsive. Suddenly, a demonic voice from Roxanne's body explains that Megan was right and their friend is dead. Cornered by the beast, Megan realizes that the dagger must be impaled into the demon's heart, but Terry left it upstairs. To retrieve it, Jan throws a box at the beast so they can run. However, the monster tackles her to the ground and kills her. As the two survivors reach the house, they hear a loud crash upstairs, implying the beast forced its way through a window. Unfortunately, the two can't find the dagger, so Terry grabs an iron rod from the furnace to confront the monster. Afraid, Megan suggests they escape and call the cops, but the fearless woman wants to avenge her friends. As they confront their opponent upstairs, the beast lunges at Terry and kills her, while Megan falls down the stairs. Crippled from the fall, Megan drags her leg and reaches for the book, but she's unable to concentrate and translate the foreign scriptures. As the beast approaches the lone survivor with the soul shroud, it orders Megan to read all the incantations out loud to unleash its familiars before it devours her. Suddenly, Gideon appears in the doorway and confronts the formidable demon. The beast mocks the wandering ghost's courage, even after the sorcerer brought eternal damnation upon himself years ago. Nevertheless, the sorcerer vows to correct his mistakes and erase the otherworldly creature from the face of the earth. Gideon attacks the beast with the ancient dagger. However, the demon overpowers him, so Megan braves her fears and hits it with a wine bottle. When the beast turns around, the sorcerer immediately impales its heart, making it return to its cartoonish form. As the beast limps back to the book, Megan hurriedly throws it into the fire and watches as the horrendous face cries. Consequently, the cartoonish beast vanishes, so the sorcerer burns the soul shroud, resounding the demon's miseries. After successfully fulfilling his life's mission, Gideon introduces himself to the wounded woman. The sorcerer reveals how his quest for knowledge caused all the monstrosity by bringing the ancient book to their country. After his death, Gideon's ghost waited for someone to release the monster in the book to kill them for good. Since Megan successfully provided that leverage, the sorcerer's curse has been lifted. Despite their victory, Megan blames Gideon for her friend's death. However, the sorcerer reveals that her friends are alive, claiming that the beast never existed. Grateful, Gideon bids her farewell as his soul finally ascends to the afterlife. Then, Mr. Hinchlow cheerfully enters the house with coffee. Shortly after, Jan, Roxanne, Biff, and Bert arrive, all dazed and confused. As everyone gathers, the old neighbor suggests they watch cartoons on his portable television. Reminded of her encounter with the cartoonish devil, Megan screams in terror.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.